Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Good morning. My name is Nathan Duncan. I'm a detective with the Chandler Police Department, Robbery Homicide Unit.
How long have you worked for Chandler Police Department?
Well, I'm 2 months shy of 25 years.
Can you tell us the different areas you have worked?
After graduating from the academy in September of 2000, I went into the patrol unit, as a patrol unit, for about three and a half years. I then left there and became a detective, working for approximately the next 11 years in our property crime section. And in the last 10 plus years, have been working in the robbery homicide unit.
In your career, have you been asked to write search warrants to obtain and review cell phone records?
I have.
In your career, have you been asked to write and obtain search warrants for iCloud records?
Yes, I have.
And in your career, have you been asked to basically write search warrants for all different types of social media and digital media?
Yes.
On July 11th of 2019, were you working that day?
I was.
And what were your hours at that time?
During that time, so weekdays, days, and I believe at the time I was on a Tuesday through Friday schedule, 10-hour shifts.
So on Thursday, July 11th of 2019, did you learn of a shooting at 5531 South Four Peaks Place in Chandler?
I did.
How did you learn about it?
I actually had learned by listening to the radio. I heard the call kick out and of the shooting at the Four Peaks location, and then soon after that received a phone call to assist detectives at that location.
When you arrived at the scene, can you describe for us what you saw?
Yes, I believe I parked to the west of the location. When I arrived, I saw crime scene tape had already been placed. There were emergency vehicles such as fire vehicles and police present already. I then walked towards the front of the house where other detectives had gathered and spoke with them regarding the case, and then we were given tasks.
When you arrived, was Alex Cox still on scene, or did you see him?
I did see him from a distance. He was seated on the sidewalk. I did not get close to him and did not know who he was at the time.
When you arrived, do you know if Lori Vallow was there?
I never saw her.
When you arrived and you said you met with other detectives, were you given an assignment or task to do?
I was.
What was that?
I was asked to assist Detective Coons with the crime scene and basically be an extra set of eyes and hands for him when processing this crime scene.
Okay. So you're with Detective Coons. Was there also anyone else assisting you?
At some point, Detective Werther was there as well, and we had a patrol officer that was standing by helping us, and also a crime scene investigator with us.
Okay. Before you can enter the house, did you obtain or did you have someone write a search warrant so you could go in the house?
Yes.
So does that mean you guys had to just kind of wait around for that to be approved?
Absolutely.
And then ultimately, did you enter the scene around 11:53 in the morning?
We did.
When you were helping to process this scene, you were not the case agent, right?
No, I was not.
Were you aware of the time of the 911, when the 911 call was placed?
I was aware at the time, at that particular moment, no, I was not.
Okay. Is that something you learned later?
Yes.
Did you include that in your report at some point?
I did.
Did you get the time correct in your report?
I did not.
Have you since verified through listening to the 911 call and looking at the CAD report of the time of that 911 call?
Yes, the correct time on the 911 call is 8:36 hours that I noticed through the 911 call and CAD in reviewing for this. Then I did notice that in my supplemental report, I noted the wrong time of 8:32.
Okay. Were you aware of who made the 911 call?
I was.
And who was that?
Alex Cox.
So when you are finally allowed to enter the home, can you tell us what you observed when you first walked in?
Well, prior to walking in, we had a crime scene technician go through and take overall photographs of the entire residence. After that, we utilized the Lizard Q system to take additional photographs. Once that was complete, then we made entry in to kind of make our own observations. The front door faces to the west of this home, and as you enter, there's a small foyer. Blue is white and black checkered flooring. And then you step into what I refer to as a great room that had no furnishings. There was a mirror on the north wall, a large picture window on the east wall, a mirror on the south wall, and a mirror on the west wall. I noticed the body of the deceased, later identified as Charles Vallow, laying on the western portion of the room. He was in what we call the supine position, with his head to the north and his feet to the south, and his arms on each side of his body.
Okay. When you saw Charles Vallow, did he appear to be fit?
Yes.
When you went into the scene, did you notice a lot of blood around the scene?
We did not.
When you were looking at Charles Vallow, you told us that his hands were each to his sides, correct?
Correct.
Did you notice any blood on his left hand?
I did.
Where did you notice that?
I noticed some blood in the webbing, we call the webbing of Charles's left hand. And in seeing that blood, and with not seeing any other blood, the only source of blood for that to come in contact with would have been on Charles' chest. So I felt that could have been from him placing his hand to his chest at one point before finally coming to rest.
So the flooring around where Charles's hand was, there was no blood around that floor area?
Correct.
I'm going to put up, if I can have the Elmo, Exhibit 40. There we go. All right, so what we see here in Exhibit 40, when you arrived, fire had already gone in, done whatever treatment, and removed themselves from the residence, right?
Yes.
So you can still see some of their equipment attached to Charles, correct?
Correct.
And then what we're looking at here is his left hand.
Yeah, his left hand on top of his left thumb and on the side of his left index finger.
And I'm putting 41 up. Is that what you observed?
Yes.
So even around Mr. Vallow, did you notice a lot of pooling of blood around him?
I did not.
Did you notice more sort of after the medical examiner's office came and enrolled him and moved him around?
Yes.
You talked about mirrors in that room. Did you notice any cracks or damage to any of those mirrors?
I did not.
Did you see the bat in the room?
I did.
Was that on Charles's right or left side?
It was on his right side above his, more north of his head.
Okay. And when you are processing that room, are you looking for any potential blood evidence that's not just on or around Charles Vallow?
Yes, we are. We're constantly looking for any kind of blood evidence that would help us tell the story. Any kind of movement of somebody who had bled and then moved through the house to try to better explain what had happened.
So in this case, did you check that wood floor in that we'll call great room for any blood drops or spatters or smears that might be on the floor that wasn't like right under Charles?
Yes.
Did you find any?
No.
Did you go into the other rooms in the house and help search for any other blood evidence?
I did.
And did you note any blood drops or smears or anything else on the flooring or walls in any other rooms?
Not on the flooring or walls. The only other location of blood that was present would have been on the faucet of the kitchen sink.
And that was that small drop right on the faucet itself? Or,
I would more smear, or I would call it a drop, but yeah, there was a red substance consistent with blood on that faucet.
okay. Were you looking around the room for any towels or shirts or anything else that may have been used to, whether it was clean up or stop bleeding?
We were.
Did you find any?
No.
At some point, as you are going through the scene, did you go into what I'm going to call the pink room?
The pink room,
With the gun?
Yes, I did.
Put up an exhibit here. When you went into that room, were you, and I guess I can call it the pink as well as black and white striped room, Exhibit 71. Did you observe this orange duffel bag, the garbage bag with some clothes, and then the gun laying on the floor next to the duffel bag?
I did.
Were you responsible for making that gun safe?
I was.
What did you do to make the gun safe?
So obviously, we, with help of our crime scene technician, we photograph the gun, the bag, and everything as it is in place. That's how we found it. At that point, I would place some gloves on and pick up the gun, also looking for any kind of blood or biological evidence on the gun while I'm looking at the gun. I would eventually do what's called making the gun safe. I would remove the magazine from the gun, set that aside, and then cycle the slide to remove any kind of cartridge that's inside of the chamber. In this case, this is a Springfield XD handgun. The magazine was released and removed. The cycle was manipulated, and a single .45 caliber cartridge fell out.
I'm going to put up a couple. We see in 78 is sort of that your hand holding the magazine that you removed,
It is.
and then 86 is that your hand with the single casing?
Yes, it is.
When you were going through this evidence, was there inside that orange bag that we see in Exhibit 82 a gun case?
Yes.
Did that gun case have any locks on it?
It did not.
It's just plastic clasps to hold it closed?
Correct.
And was there extra magazines inside that gun case?
There were.
Now, when you process a scene and the evidence is then taken to police impound, do you sometimes go through it better there away from the scene?
Yes.
I'm going to put up Exhibit 81 here, that orange duffel bag. I think it's this way. Did you later go through the duffel bag?
I did.
And is there an outside pocket on that?
There is.
Did you locate a debit card in there?
I did.
If I can have my paralegal approach with 234. Do you recognize Exhibit 234?
I do.
And what is that?
It's a health savings account card in the name of Alexander Cox.
State will move to admit Exhibit 234.
Any objection?
I hear him. I'm thinking.
234 is admitted.
So, Alexander Cox, is that the name of the person who called 911?
Yes, it is.
And when you are, let me ask you a little bit about the gun a little more. So this gun that you made safe, when you're looking at it, did you look at all the sides of it to see if there was, again, any blood evidence on it?
Yes,
Did you see any?
I did not.
And that's something you are going to check to make sure you don't potentially change the way it looks?
Correct.
Did you know when you went in to process the scene that Alex Cox had an injury to the back of his head?
I don't know. When I went in, no, I did not.
Did you learn at some point that he did?
Yes.
Knowing that he had an injury to his head, did that play in? Well, let me ask you, when did you learn that?
I believe it was during the investigation. We learned that Alex had sustained an injury to his head. So with that, made us more aware of potential other blood evidence, and that's why we were looking for that.
Okay. So is that why one of the reasons why you're looking on this gun to see if there was any blood transferred from him potentially touching his injury and manipulating the gun at some point?
Yes, from our understanding, it was there was some sort of assault with this, or assault with a bat, and then Alex then retrieved to the bedroom to get the gun. So our understanding is if you get hit with a bat and you're bleeding, that you would hopefully bring some sort of blood evidence onto the gun, and then what happens after, there's more blood evidence as well.
So you would have documented that and then made sure it was collected if you'd seen that?
Absolutely.
But here we photographed the gun without any blood evidence on it.
Yes.
Do you also, when you obtain a gun, look at the serial number?
Yes.
Why is that relevant?
We want to know who it returns to, who owns that gun.
And did you determine who owned that gun?
We did.
Who owned the gun, the Exhibit 247, that Springfield?
Alex Cox.
Now, at some point, we've heard the medical examiner came to remove Charles Vallow's body, correct?
Yes,
And were you present when that happened?
I was.
And did you and the others that were processing the scene clean up the blood on the floor that had been left underneath him?
I did.
And when you were cleaning up the blood, did you notice anything on the floor that stood out to you where he had been located?
Yes, I did.
What did you notice?
When cleaning up the blood, I immediately noticed a defect in the floor consistent with a bullet strike that would have been close to or right on this area where the exit wound would have been on Charles' left shoulder.
So you had seen the floor and been processing that room while Charles was laying there, correct?
Right.
And once his body was removed, there's a pool of blood underneath where he was.
Correct.
And in that area, I'm going to put up Exhibit 60, is where you then observed that bullet strike.
That is correct.
I'm going to put up a little bit further back of one. Hold on. Let me put up 56. Although it's harder to see, the marker itself is next to where that bullet strike is.
Yes.
So when you are seeing this, what comes to your mind at that point?
Well, in this scene, we're trying to make sense of kind of what happened with limited information. We know we have two casings, and we know we have two projectiles. We have a projectile that's into the wall, and we also have a projectile that is near Charles' body. We believe, obviously, the first shot or a shot went through and through his body, causing two holes and entered into the wall. The other shot we have is a low left abdominal entry, and what we believe, and not confirmed until autopsy, but a upper left trajectory near his shoulder. We looked through the room to where this projectile could have exited throughout the room and then landed in that spot near where Charles was. And we did not see anything until his body was removed and the blood was cleaned up.
So you're looking like walls and trying to find any other location where the bullet may have struck and bounced back and ended up in the floor there.
Correct.
And you didn't find any defects or any holes or anything other than the one bullet that was in that baseboard.
Correct.
So when you see this now, did you feel that was consistent with the bullet striking the floor underneath Charles and him being on the floor when he was shot?
100%.
Because of that, did you end up actually cutting out and collecting that board?
We did.
And then you said that you were wanting to know if that was confirmed during an autopsy, correct?
Yes,
Did you attend the autopsy?
I did not.
During this initial investigation on July 11th of 2019, did you ever search Charles Vallow's rental car?
I did not.
So Lori Vallow had his car all day and nobody looked inside of it.
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Initially, as a person who was just working the scene with Detective Kuntz, did that sort of end your investigation or your involvement for at least July 11th?
Yes.
What was your next involvement in this case?
My next involvement had some, prior to June of 2020, June of 2020 is when I was assigned the status of case agent in this case. Prior to that, I did help Detective Moffat with analyzing and just sorting through iCloud phone records and other data for him.
So we have heard about cell phones that had been extracted from retired Detective McDonald. That was Charles Vallow's cell phone. So was
Yes.
that one item of evidence that had been collected?
Yes,
Did you review any of that extracted data?
yes, I did.
Did those extractions include things from emails,
Yes,
text messages,
yes,
sort of anything you might expect to see on anyone's smartphone?
correct.
When you are looking through this, did you look through both Charles' iPhone extraction and later some iCloud account extractions?
I did.
What are iClouds?
The best way to describe an iCloud is it's cloud storage for Apple products. If you have a MacBook or a phone or a Mac computer and you use an iCloud email address, and then the information from all of those would be stored under one iCloud account.
So someone can intentionally store things there?
Yes, you can choose what you want to store in there. A lot of times there's a default on there, but you can go through and manipulate as to what you want saved in your cloud or backed up in your cloud.
So there can also be things, if a default is on, that are people may be not even aware that are being saved up there.
Correct.
I say up there as if it's really a cloud, but whatever. When you were reviewing this data, did you, without going into anything specifics, did you see interactions between Charles Vallow and Lori Vallow prior to about June 27th of 2019?
I did.
And did you see interactions with Charles Vallow and Lori Vallow after June 27th of 2019?
Yes,
Did you see a change in those interactions?
definitely.
Did you learn from reviewing Charles Vallow's cell phone extraction and iCloud accounts that Charles had found an email sent to Chad Daybell that was purportedly written by him?
Yes, I did.
Did that involve an email address, kkwalker75 at Yahoo?
Yes, it did.
Did Charles Vallow, in fact, save a copy of that email into his account?
Yes, he did.
In reviewing Charles Vallow's cell phone extraction and iCloud account prior to this time in June, had you seen any use of this kkwalker75@yahoo.com email address? Prior to June 27th of 2019, had you seen Charles Vallow utilizing that email address?
Had I seen Charles utilize it? Sorry, no, I did not.
Okay. So even though you're going through his account, you're seeing emails by him, right?
Right.
And you're seeing emails that are saved into his own iCloud account,
Yes.
but nothing in there was saved prior to June of 27th of 2019 relating to kkwalker75@yahoo.com.
That is correct.
Was the first time that you kind of became aware of this account when you saw that Charles had saved an email and then began texting Lori Vallow about it?
Yes.
Did you find multiple text messages or SMS messages from Charles Vallow to Lori Vallow relating to this letter?
Yes, I did.
Did you find evidence that Charles Vallow, after discovering this email, contacted Chad Daybell?
Yes.
Did you find evidence that after Charles Vallow found this kkwalker75 email address, that Charles Vallow contacted Chad Daybell's wife, Tammy Daybell?
Yes.
Was a search warrant executed on Yahoo for that kkwalker75@yahoo.com?
It was.
If I can have my paralegal approach with 289.
Okay.
Does 289 include first an affidavit from Yahoo authenticating the kkwalker75@yahoo.com account?
It does.
Does it include information for the subscriber?
It does.
And does it include a portion of the emails associated with that account?
Yes, it is.
When you looked at the subscriber information, what was the name of the person subscribing to this?
Karen Walker.
Did that person provide a phone number?
Yes, they did.
And so when they're subscribing to sign this up, is that often a requirement to provide some sort of phone number or way to authenticate these?
Yes.
Did you recognize that phone number?
I did.
How did you recognize it?
The phone number was linked to an old phone number for Lori Vallow.
Was that her 480 phone number?
Yeah, last ending in 4652.
So you had seen text messages from Lori Vallow to other family members and people under that phone number
Correct.
in her iCloud account?
Correct.
Did you also know when that account was opened?
Yes, it was opened in April, get the exact date, April of 2019, April 21st.
April 21st of 2019. Would that have been when Lori Vallow and Charles Vallow were now in Houston?
Yes.
Did you also note in the context itself reference to requesting Chad Daybell come out to Houston?
I did.
The state will move to admit 289 pursuant to 803 and 902.
Any objection?
Relevance, Your Honor.
289 submitted.
if I may publish.
Go ahead.
So, zoom in a little closer for us. Is this the subscriber information that Yahoo sent? Let me first say, so they send you an authentication, correct? And then they sent you subscriber information. Is that what you were looking at, where you noted a phone number that you recognized as belonging to Lori Vallow?
Yes,
And again, this shows when the account was created on Sunday, April 21st,
yes,
but the name associated was Karen Walker.
correct.
Were you provided with a timeline of when this account was used?
I was?
So April 21st through June 26th?
Yes,
In looking at Charles Vallow's iCloud account and cell phone extraction, was this right before he discovered that email?
yes,
Now, some of the emails that were sent starting sort of April 21st were to Brother Daybell, to Chad Daybell.
yes,
And we see up here to Chad Daybell, correct?
correct.
And then we see the date of Sunday, April 21st of
Correct.
2019.
Yes,
And so in this email, do we see that Karen is inviting Brother Daybell to Houston?
yes,
In these messages was a final message, one that you found saved by Charles Vallow on or around June 27th or 28th. This, what we see is exhibit, again, 289.
correct.
In this message, it's from the KK Walker email.
It is.
So these prior emails, we saw a person purporting to be Karen Walker using Lori Daybell's phone number, writing to Brother Daybell, right?
Yes,
But here we see someone, again, from this same email now purporting to be Charles Vallow.
yes,
Again, talking about a Preparing the People conference.
correct.
And had you heard of the Preparing the People conference before?
I had.
Is that something that Lori Vallow was involved in?
Yes,
And is that something we've heard about through testimony here at court?
we have.
In this, does Charles Vallow, or the person writing this email, again ask Chad Daybell to come out to visit,
Yes,
to help write a book?
correct.
And so is this then the email that Charles then began reaching out to Lori, Chad, and Tammy about?
Yes,
We had heard from Adam that he also had learned of this. Did you see evidence of Charles Vallow also sending this letter that we see in 289 to Adam?
I did.
Based upon your review of the case and the dates on here, did Charles Vallow begin confronting Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell about the affair less than 2 weeks before he was killed?
He did.
And did you, in fact, see emails that Charles Vallow sent to Chad Daybell on June 29th and 30th?
I did.
And did you, in fact, see emails that Charles Vallow sent to Tammy Daybell on June 29th and June 30th of 2019?
I did.
At the time on June 29th, 30th, where was Charles residing at that time?
During that time, Charles was in Houston, Texas.
During that time, where was Lori Vallow?
She was in Arizona.
We have this timeline where Charles Vallow begins reaching out to Lori and Chad's wife about this affair. Was the first time that Charles Vallow saw Lori Vallow after this, him discovering this email on July 11th of 2019?
I believe so. There was a scheduled trip around the 4th of July, but was canceled. So the next time they would have seen each other would have been the July 11th.
So based upon your review of SMS messages, iCloud accounts, did Charles help Lori move here to Arizona about a week before this email?
Yes.
So he had seen her prior to learning about this,
Correct.
and then when he came out here to see JJ.
Yes.
When you were reviewing, well, let me ask you this. Were search warrants executed to obtain not only Charles Vallow's iCloud accounts, but Lori Vallow's iCloud accounts?
Yes, they were.
Were there two different iCloud accounts that were that search warrants were executed on?
Yes,
Was one of them Lori for Style at iCloud.com?
it was.
And was the other one LollyTime at iCloud.com?
It was.
In reviewing those records, did you ever find evidence, screenshots of flights that Lori Vallow went to Idaho in March of 2019?
I did.
And did you ever find evidence, screenshots of flights that Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow flew back to Arizona together on March 19th of 2019? Now, we heard from Adam Cox last week. And he testified about text messages and interactions that he and Charles had leading up to July 11th. When you were going through the extractions of Charles Vallow's phone, did you see text messages between Charles Vallow and Adam Cox?
Yes.
And did those match what we observed? And I'm going to put up 210 here that was previously admitted. Were these the messages that were previously admitted, Exhibit 210, the same ones you saw in Charles Vallow's phone?
Yes, they are.
Okay. When you were reviewing the text messages or SMS messages for July 11th of 2019, do phones and the extractions advise when a message is received as well as when it's read?
It would show that, yes, in the Cellbrite report, yes.
Okay. So, for instance, we see here a time and a read, correct?
Correct.
So when a message is incoming, it'll show when it's read.
Correct.
Obviously, when it's outgoing, we don't have that, correct?
Right.
So as you were looking at those messages on the cell phone extraction, did you see as Charles is arriving, he's sending messages to Adam?
Yes, that's correct.
And then he receives a message from Adam at 7:36:19,
Yes.
and he read that. I'm going to pull in just a little closer so we can see. At 7:36:27,
Yes.
so just a few seconds later.
Correct.
And then again, he gets that message from Adam. They're planning something. And did he, again, read that like simultaneously?
Yes.
And then did Charles send a message within a few seconds of reading that? Absolutely.
Correct.
And then again, this timing is just within seconds, like just ongoing conversation.
Yes.
Do we see that just a few seconds later, Adam sends a message to Charles? I was supposed to spend the night at the house last night. She probably blocked that.
Yes, I do.
And then again, another 20 seconds later, Charles sends Adam a message, what you do is up to you.
Yes.
Then we see that Adam sends a message back to Charles again within another 17 seconds or something. I'm going to put the pressure to have him come get me now, see what he says. And that was read again, when?
12:13.
And again, did Adam send a second message? Where he says, okay. And when was that read?
12:13.
And then Adam sends another message now. So these first two were at 7:37:29 and 7:37:39.
Yes.
And those were not read like these other ones almost simultaneously, correct?
Correct.
So after Charles said, what you do is up to you, it doesn't appear that he is any longer reading those emails.
Correct.
Or text messages, I apologize. The last text message that Adam sent then at 7:49 and 34 seconds was, me and Zach are going to the Stake Center tonight at 8 to play basketball. Holmes is always there, either playing ball or interviewing people. I will try to catch him to have a conversation with my old friend, right?
Correct.
When was that read?
12:13 as well.
Is Charles Vallow alive at 12:13?
He is not.
So someone else is reading those.
Yes.
And this is coming from the extraction of Charles Vallow's phone.
Correct.
Do you know who was in possession of Charles Vallow's phone at 12:13 p.m. on July 11th of 2019?
Lori,
How do you know that?
she told us, and she turned the phone back over to us later that afternoon.
Did you ever find any other evidence that Lori Vallow and Alex Cox went through Charles Vallow's phone on July 11th of 2019?
Yes.
During this investigation, what we had already heard through Detective Werther, that search warrant was executed on Alex Cox's Verizon cell phone, 480-351-9120. And were you familiar with those records?
I am.
As part of the records that Verizon sent, and this is Exhibit 222 that has previously been admitted, did Verizon provide subscriber information?
Yes.
And that came back to Alex Cox.
Correct.
Did Verizon provide phone calls,
Yes.
cell phone data,
Yes.
cell tower data,
Yes.
and did they also provide some images that were saved by Verizon for associated with this phone number for Alex Cox?
They did.
Is that something that is with every carrier?
No, it's hit or miss as to whether you get them or not. Some carriers save them for longer, some save for shorter periods of time. Some don't save them at all.
Were these images, did the images themselves have any type of time date stamp on them?
The image other than itself, it's an image of a phone with a time in the corner of the phone.
Okay.
And it,
So let me I'm going to put up some of these images that were from this. So many of us talk about a screenshot, right? Is this a screenshot?
no,
Why not? How do we know it's not?
because obviously in this case you can actually see the entire phone, and you also have a counter in the background.
So in this image that Verizon sent, it's showing an actual phone. Have you seen Charles Vallow's phone?
Yes.
Did it look like the same shape as his phone?
Yes.
We see a time of 2:13 p.m., correct?
Correct.
When you were going through Charles Vallow's phone itself and the extraction, did you see this message between Charles Vallow and Adam Cox?
I did.
Did, in fact, Charles place the flight or book a flight for Adam Cox to come to Phoenix.
He did.
Was there another image showing a closer up of the portion of that call with the flight information for Adam Cox?
Yes.
And did it also include a screenshot where Adam talks about going to see Lori at her house and having a talk with her and keeping his phone on record?
Yes.
And were these all messages, text messages, between Adam and Charles that you found on the extraction report?
They are.
And these are images that were saved by Verizon associated to Alex Cox's phone?
Yes.
So the Chandler Police Department had Charles's phone back in their possession by 3 or so in the afternoon of July 11th, correct?
Yes.
And it's been in Chandler Police Department's possession?
It has.
And yet the Verizon records for Alex Cox show photographs of Charles's phone and those conversations between Charles and Adam.
Yes.
Now, did you learn in this investigation whether or not Lori Vallow knew the PIN to enter Charles's phone?
I did.
And did she, in fact, provide that to Detective Enclan so that it was easy to get into Charles's phone?
Yes.
So on July 11th, Lori Vallow has Charles Vallow's phone, and she knows the PIN number to access it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it's in her possession.
Correct.
Did you ever find evidence that Alex Cox sent those photos of Charles Vallow's phone showing Adam's flight reservations to Lori Vallow on July 13th of 2019?
I did.
Again, we're talking about those iCloud accounts. Did you find that when you were reviewing the lollytime@icloud.com account information?
Yes.
I can have my paralegal approach with 231. I apologize. I should have also given you 226 as well. Do you recognize 236 there as the affidavit for the lollytime@icloud.com account information?
I do.
When you were investigating this case and you obtained a search warrant for the lollytime@icloud account, how did you authenticate or know that those records were related to Lori Vallow?
So first and foremost, the account lists her phone number in the 956, ending in 9562, associating that number with the account. Secondly, you can go through the content of the account, and you see contacts familiar to Lori. You see text messages where she's texting and people are calling her by her name of Lori. You also have photographs and videos on the account that could all associate that account to Lori.
Did that lollytime@icloud account even include photographs of Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell's wedding?
I did.
Your Honor, the state will move to admit Exhibit 226, which is the affidavit, as well as Exhibit 231, the photographs.
Any objection?
Relevant, Your Honor.
All right. Give me the numbers again, 226, 231.
226 and 231,
226, 231 are admitted.
and if I may publish.
Go ahead.
So when we're talking about the iCloud account, are you able to kind of go through this extraction, what is provided to you by Apple, and look for things separated in terms of like emails or text messages or photographs?
Yes,
And then are you also able to then determine both sources and timestamps for some of those things?
you are, yes.
So looking at this report from the Apple iCloud account, do we see the lolly time at iCloud as a source?
Yes,
And then we see a timestamp over here of 7:13 at 5:57 p.m.
correct.
And then this, does that mean that's converted for Arizona time?
The UTC -7 mean it is Arizona time, yes.
Okay. And then we see from Alex Cox, the 9120 number, the one that we were talking about just recently, correct? So in this report, we see that there's 3 photographs that were sent.
Thumbnails of those, yes.
And then were those photographs also obtained or saved in the iCloud account?
Yes, they were.
And so again, showing those, were these the same 3 photographs that you had found in Alex Cox's Verizon records?
They are.
And looking at this, what day was Adam returning?
He was Sunday, July 14th.
So this message, this text message and photographs was sent on the 13th prior to Adam returning.
Yes.
Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about that timeline and what you understood when we start including all this information in. Based upon your investigation, did you learn that Charles Vallow's phone left the area of 5531 South Four Peaks Place around 7:49 a.m. on July 11th?
Yes, I did.
So what we see is it's around the time that Adam sent that last text message?
Correct.
Based upon the GPS data from Charles Vallow's cell phone, when she left with Charles's phone around 7:49 a.m., and the 911 call being received at 8:36 a.m., how much time lapsed?
17 minutes? The time?
From 7:49
49?
to 8:36, was that
Oh,
46?
47 minutes?
So if we have heard testimony from Dr. Baumgardner that Charles Vallow, when he was shot in the heart, would have taken up to a couple minutes to die after he was shot in the heart, and Lori Vallow has told Detective Inclan that she left right after Charles was shot, would that mean that Charles Vallow just lay dead on the floor for 45 minutes before Alex Cox called 911 at best?
Yes.
When you were looking at those Verizon cell phone records for Alex Cox, Exhibit 222, did you look at when and to whom Alex Cox called?
I did, yes.
Now, when you are looking at cell phone records, do they often include sort of dates and times of phone numbers, phone calls, durations, and those sorts of things?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to use the back of one of these here. So when we start looking at July 11th, is the first call that we see on Alex Cox's phone him making an outgoing call?
Yes.
And do we see who he calls?
Lori.
So this 480-692-9562 number is one of the phone numbers that you have obtained a search warrant for that was subscribed to Lori Vallow.
Correct.
And when did that occur?
7:52 a.m.
So Lori Vallow leaves the house at 7:49 with Charles's phone, and 3 minutes later, Alex calls her.
Yes.
And did that last for
Under a minute, I believe.
under a minute? 49 seconds.
Yes.
Did you look at the next call that Adam Cox made on July 11th?
I did.
Was that what we see here at 8:06 a.m.?
Yes, set for the UTC -7 is 8:06 a.m., and that lasted for 55 seconds.
Who was that to?
Also placed to Lori.
So if Lori Vallow left the house at 7:49 with Charles Vallow's phone, how much time has lapsed when Alex calls her this second time? I know it's math. Is it about 17 minutes?
I know, right. 17 minutes, yeah.
Okay. And actually, I think so at this point, has Alex called 911 yet at 8:06 a.m.?
At 8:06, he has not, no.
So at 8:06, Alex Cox calls Lori a second time, and Charles Vallow has now been laying on the floor for at least dead for at least 17 minutes.
Correct.
Understanding that the 911 call isn't made till 8:36, Alex Cox waits another 30 minutes before he calls 911?
Yes.
Did Lori Vallow ever call 911?
No.
Neither of her calls, neither of her phones,
None.
not on Charles's phone.
No.
And do we in fact see the 911 call that was made by Alex Cox on these records?
Yes.
And it shows it as these ones have not been converted, right?
Yeah, it's not converted, but the time converting that to the -7 would be 8:35:54 seconds.
So when we see the 911 call, that's the connection time with the dispatch was 8:36, basically.
Yes.
So we knew from Charles Vallow's phone and from body cam that Lori Vallow returns to 5531 South Four Peaks at about 8:48 a.m., correct?
Yes.
As you are looking through these phone records, are you looking to also identify whether or not what people are saying matches what we'll call the digital, the unchangeable evidence?
Yeah.
So you were present when Adam Cox testified, correct?
Correct.
And do you recall him testifying that he called his brother Alex on July 9th to see if he could stay with him?
Yes.
Did you look to see if Alex Cox's records showed if Adam called him?
I did.
So if we looked at Exhibit 222, those Verizon records for Adam Cox, would we see on July 9th at 13:21 hours that Adam called Alex?
Correct.
Did that call last over 20 minutes?
It did.
Did you also hear Adam testify that he tried to reach Alex when he got to Phoenix on July 10th?
Yes,
And again, if we looked at Exhibit 222, Alex Cox's Verizon records, did you see any attempts by Adam to reach his brother Alex?
I did.
Did you see a call on July 10th at 3:22 p.m.?
Yes,
Did that not connect? There was no conversation time.
correct.
Did you see a text message from Adam to Alex on Alex's records, Exhibit 222, at 3:23 p.m. on July 10th?
Yes,
Now, these records did not have the context of that, correct?
correct.
But you can see that Adam sent a text message to his brother Alex.
Yes,
Did you see Alex ever call or text back his brother Adam?
never.
Did you see another text from Adam to his brother Alex in Exhibit 222 at 6:28 p.m.?
Yes,
Did you see a response back from Alex to Adam?
I did not.
We also heard Adam testify, and we saw in those text messages that between Adam and Charles on July 11th, that Adam said he was going to reach out to Alex and see what he did, right?
Right.
Did you look at Exhibit 222, these Verizon records, to see whether or not Adam, in fact, had reached out to Alex?
Yeah,
And does Exhibit 222 show that at 7:40 a.m. on July 11th of 2019, that Adam, in fact, texted his brother Alex?
yes,
Did you see a response from Alex to Adam?
I did not.
So did Alex's cell phone records, Exhibit 222, sort of confirm or match what Adam was saying about trying to reach his brother?
They did.
When you were going through the extraction of Charles Vallow's cell phone, did you ever find a copy of a lease agreement for 5531 South Four Peaks?
I did.
If I could have my paralegal approach with 212.
Okay,
Do you recognize Exhibit 212?
I do.
Is that a lease agreement for 5531 South Four Peaks Place in Chandler that you found in that extraction of Charles Vallow's phone?
It is.
If I could have that back. The state will move to admit Exhibit 212.
Any objection?
It doesn't look like the complete amount, but okay. No
No
objection.
objection. 212 is admitted.
So, did this sort of photo of a document that you found on Charles's phone show the lease date?
It did.
And when was that?
June 22nd, 2019, to end on June 30th of 2022.
So a 3-year lease.
Correct.
Based upon your investigation, speaking with people as well as just going through Charles Vallow's iCloud account, his cell phone, where was Charles Vallow living in June and July of 2019?
In Houston. 'Houston.
'Houston. did you, in fact, find evidence that Charles Vallow had flown to Phoenix on July 10th of 2019?
Yes.
So we had talked a little earlier that in addition to the Lolly Time account, that there was a Lori for Style iCloud account, correct?
Yes.
In terms of the Lori for Style at iCloud account, how did you identify that iCloud account as being associated with Lori Vallow?
Very similar to the Lolly Time account. The phone number ending in 9562 is listed as the subscriber phone number. Also the content of the phone, looking at photographs, videos, and communication with others. That is also the Lori for Style at iCloud is a address that she actually gave to Banner Insurance as well.
Do we see in the Lori for Style two different phone numbers, both the 808-755-5452 and the 480-692-9562 number assigned to that subscriber?
You do.
If I can have my paralegal approach with 224 and 225. And do you recognize 224 as the affidavit from the iCloud records authenticating them?
Yes.
And is 225 some of the SMS or text messages that were saved in the Lori for Style at iCloud.com records?
Yes, they are.
State will move to admit 224 through 225. Oh, 224 and 225, sorry.
224 and 225 are admitted.
When you were going through the Lori for Style iCloud account records, did you ever find any recordings in that iCloud account related to Chad Daybell?
I did.
Did you find a recording from November 17th of 2018 of Chad Daybell in Arizona?
Yes, it was him speaking at a Preparing of People event.
And have we heard testimony from witnesses who attended a Preparing the People conference here in November of 2018?
Yes.
In the Lori for Style at iCloud account, did you find text message or SMS messages saved between Lori Vallow and her brother Alex Cox?
Yes.
When you were looking through these records, had you become aware of the name Ned?
Yes.
What was the relevance of that name in your investigation?
Through this investigation, we had learned that Ned was the name of a dark spirit that had taken over Charles' body. And so in knowing this, I went through these records looking for a mention of Ned and to the reference and how it was used.
And was this, when we talk about the dark spirit, is this something that through your investigation, as we've heard in court, was a name that Lori had associated or given to Charles Vallow?
Yes.
In Exhibit 225, are these messages in the Lori for Style iCloud account between Lori Vallow and her brother Alex Cox, where they're talking about Ned?
Yes, they are.
Was the first time that you found that reference to Ned from February 15th of 2019 from Alex Cox to Lori Vallow?
Yes, it is.
And is that where we see Alex saying that Ned was at the temple yesterday looking for you. He thinks you are staying with me.
Correct?
And so again, we see the source is the Lori for Style, correct?
Yes.
And we see two, this is Lori Vallow's iCloud account, correct? And that's the number that we have associated with her with T-Mobile?
Yes.
And then Alex Cox's Verizon record.
Correct.
During your investigation on February 15th of 2019, is this the time period where Lori Vallow had disappeared and was no longer in contact with Charles Vallow?
Yes.
Is this the time period where Charles had JJ by himself?
Yes.
And do we see then Lori Vallow saying, that's good that he is so off, I guess?
Yes.
The next time we see the reference to Ned is that in March 2nd of 2019, again from Alex Cox to Lori Vallow.
Yes.
And does he advise, Ned just came by and Tylee unleashed on him. He came to my house and he went to Summers first. He ran up in a rental car.
Correct.
So, again, your understanding is from this investigation, from testimony at court, that Ned was Charles.
Yes.
Now, again, we talk about, there was a time period when Lori is, both we've heard in Hawaii and in Idaho, correct?
Correct.
Do we also see Alex trying to get Lori Vallow's new address?
Yes.
And she gives him a lollytimeforever@gmail.com, correct?
Correct.
So that's another address that she had.
Yes.
Now we heard, again, Ned being associated to Charles. Do we have a text message on March 26th of 2019 from Alex to Lori saying, Ned is still alive, just confirmed?
Correct.
This next message, is that from Lori Vallow to Alex?
Yes.
And it says, it's not Ned, right?
Correct.
So it's not even a he, it's it's. And then we have another message, it's a new one, Ned is gone.
Correct.
So is this around the time where we've heard of that girls' weekend,
Yes.
where they were trying to cast out the evil spirit in Charles?
Correct.
As you continued in this Lori for Style, do we see again Lori texting Alex saying, no one has seen him, right? Just talk to him?
Correct.
And then Alex says, correct, Charles' body is alive, right?
Yes.
So in your investigation and through the testimony here at trial, have you heard people indicate that Charles's body was possessed by an evil spirit?
I have.
And they're trying to cast out this evil spirit?
Yes.
So here we see that it's not Charles is alive, it's Charles's body's alive.
Correct.
Does Alex then respond to Lori, what did you learn?
Yes.
And that one's from Alex to Lori.
Correct.
And then does she respond, a lot, still working on it, we'll call you later?
That's correct.
When you went through a lot of these records, did you see a lot of reference to telling people to call her?
Yes.
Obviously, we don't have those recordings, right?
Correct.
And so would you often see calls then in the phone records to match up with a request to call?
Yes.
Going back to the Lollytime iCloud account, was that account created on July 1st of 2019?
It was.
Was that created after Charles Vallow contacted Lori and Chad Daybell and Tammy Daybell about the affair?
It was.
When you were going through those Lolly Time at iCloud account records, did you find evidence or find photographs in the Lolly Time at iCloud account showing the change in Charles's beneficiary form for his life insurance?
I did.
Did you see both a photograph of a computer as well as of documents?
Yes.
I'm going to show defense 232. I can have my paralegal approach with 232.
Go ahead.
Do you recognize both the report and the photos that were obtained or part of the records for the Lolly Time at iCloud.com account that was obtained through a search warrant by the police department?
Yes.
State would move to admit Exhibit 232.
Any objection?
No objection.
232 is admitted.
And if I may publish. So again, when you are going through these iCloud accounts, just like with the cell phone extractions, are you able to sort of pull out reports and save the documents themselves, both in the report and then print off those documents?
Yes.
So looking at this Exhibit 232, do we see both, it's from the Lolly Time at iCloud account, right?
Correct.
And then we see that on July 28th, that these photographs were sent to a phone number 515-402-0143 with a contact name of Bubby.
I do.
Now let's first go through these records, and then we'll talk about the phone number, okay?
Okay.
So what we see here are sort of the thumbnails. Are these the actual photographs associated or sent in each of these messages?
Yes, they are.
So we see these are MMS messages, meaning there's a photo associated with it.
Yes.
So one of the photos associated with it was this Banner life insurance. Oops, I'm sorry, we're too close. Banner life insurance policy for Charles Vallow, correct?
Correct.
Showing Lori Vallow as the primary beneficiary?
Yes.
And then there was a photograph or of the document showing, again, $1 million policy,
Yes.
started in 2015, and the owner insured are Charles Vallow.
Yes.
Then was there a photo of a computer screen?
There is.
And were you able to tell, because you see sort of the icons that you would see at the bottom of a computer screen in this,
Correct.
and a little bit of a glare on it? And is this the designation form that was changed by Charles Vallow that we had talked about previously in court.
Yes.
And so this is a photograph of the computer showing that Charles Vallow, in fact, changed this to Ethel K. Woodcock.
That is correct.
So on July 28th, Lori Vallow is sending copies of this to someone she calls Bubby.
Yes.
Now, did you guys want to find out who Bubby was?
Absolutely.
Did you actually obtain a search warrant to get those phone records from AT&T for 515-402-0143?
Yes, I did.
If I can have my paralegal approach with Exhibit 223. Do you see in there, first, an affidavit from AT&T authenticating those records for the 515 number?
Yes.
A thumb drive that contains all of the records that were sent,
Yes.
as well as some of the subscriber information and records.
Yes.
Now, obviously, contact names are just contact names. Were you able to determine who this number was associated with?
Yes.
How?
Once again, looking through the content of the messages that we saw via either photographs sending back and forth or just written content, this person was found to be Chad Daybell. In addition to that, we received an audio recording from a local business in which Chad contacted this business and listed this as his phone number.
So this 515 number, there's a recording of Chad Daybell using this phone number to contact a business.
Yes.
And then the context of the messages that you see in this iCloud account with the contact Bubby confirmed that this was in fact Chad Daybell.
Yes.
State will move to admit Exhibit 223.
Any objection?
No objection.
223 is admitted.
So on July 28th of 2019, Lori Vallow is sending photographs of the life insurance policy, original and the change, to Chad Daybell.
Yes.
As you were going through this iCloud account, the lolly time, did you go through many, many, many text messages?
Yes, I did.
Did you note text messages between Lori Vallow and her brother Alex Cox that were saved in that lolly time account?
Yes.
As you were going through those text messages, did you note Lori Vallow giving her brother the new address of 5531 South Four Peaks Place?
I did.
Did you see the messages leading up to July 11th? For instance, one on July 9th talking about being like Nephi?
I did.
Did you see text messages between them even out to August 12th where Lori Vallow talks about going to Social Security?
Yes.
And in these text messages, as you looked at these two conversing, did you see text messages talking about other people being Z's, just the letter, because of their association with Charles?
Yes.
I'm going to show Defense Exhibit 227. Now, these messages in this iCloud account that are in this report, are these all of the messages that they had?
No,
Are these just a portion of them?
they are.
it's ready.
Oh, sorry, I'm done.
And if I, oh, actually, can I have my paralegal approach with 227?
Go ahead.
Looking at Exhibit 227, are those just that portion of the SMS messages between Lori Vallow and Alex Cox that were saved on the Lolly Time at iCloud account that we've discussed there? Sort of
Yes, they
leading
are.
up to and right after July 11th.
Yes.
State will move to admit Exhibit 227.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
227's admitted.
Right. So let's go through these. So again, we're seeing SMS messages, and we're starting here on July 9th, correct?
Yeah, 3:05 p.m.
And these are from Lori Vallow. This starts the first one, from Lori Vallow to Alex Cox.
Yes.
So we see Lori Vallow tell her brother that Mel is bringing Bodie over here for you now, so can you come? Correct?
Yes.
So the 9th is the day that Charles and Adam are making their plane reservations.
Yes.
And do we see that Alex tells Lori he'll be over in a bit?
Correct.
And then as we continue on the 9th, we see Lori respond, perfect, thanks, right?
Yes.
And then Alex has to ask for her address, correct?
Yes.
And so on the 9th, Lori Vallow provides her brother with the address she lives at, 5531 South Four Peaks, correct?
Correct.
And then there appears to be a response from Alex to her AX.
I believe that's probably an attempt to correct the prior state in the above. He spells it AX as well, too. So there's an
From her.
AX below.
Okay. So a little bit later, we see that was at 4:57 p.m., correct?
Yes.
So at 9 o'clock on the 9th, do we see a message from Lori Vallow to Alex Cox? So the plot thickens, call me when you can.
Yes.
Now, at that point, when you looked at phone records, did you see any call between Lori Vallow and Alex Cox initially after this first text message?
Not after that first one, no.
So about 47 minutes later, on July 9th, at 9:50 p.m., does Lori Vallow send her brother Alex Cox a message, getting sleepy, so I'm going to need you to stay close to me the next couple days. Mel, too. She can't go to Utah. They are planking some kind of intervention, but want Mel out of the way, so I'm left alone. I need to come get the stuff at your house tomorrow and store it or secure it. Lots to do. Thank you for standing by me. It's all coming to a head this week. I will be like Nephi, I am told, and so will you. When you saw that message, did you ever check Alex Cox's cell phone records to determine whether or not there was a phone call after that?
I did.
Did you see that Alex Cox and Lori Vallow talked on July 9th at 21:56 hours? What time would that be?
9:56.
So 6 minutes after this, for 56 minutes.
Correct.
So 6 minutes after this text message, Lori and her brother have almost an hour-long conversation.
Yes.
Now, in this message, when you were going through these records, did you recognize or learn who Nephi was?
So in going through this particular message, I knew that Nephi was a figure in the Book of Mormon related to the the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but I didn't understand the significance. So I then did some research to find out who Nephi was.
You were present in court when Adam testified, correct?
Yes,
And did his testimony about Nephi being told by the Holy Spirit to kill Laban and that this was a justified killing match with what you had learned when you researched it?
yes, it did.
So as you were going through these messages, and let me say this investigation, were you able to get to this like July 12th? You're on it and reviewing all these iCloud accounts?
No.
Did it take significant period of time to start finding phone numbers and finding iCloud accounts and then writing warrants to obtain them?
Correct. It's an evolving process. You would find one, and then that would lead you to another. So you're continually writing search warrants for other carriers and businesses.
Okay. So when you're reviewing this now, you know the scene and you're understanding some of the case, but you're still putting pieces together.
Right.
Now, were you aware from looking at Charles's phone and the messages between Charles and Adam that they were talking about an intervention?
Yes.
So on July 9th, Adam and Charles were discussing an intervention,
Correct.
possibly recording Lori.
Yes.
And then what we see then at 9:50 at night is Lori telling her brother that they're planning an intervention.
Yes.
So the same day that Adam and Lori were, or that Adam and Charles were talking, Lori is already letting her brother know there's going to be an intervention.
Correct.
And they're trying to get her separate and alone for this.
Correct.
And then there's that long phone call that we don't have recorded, correct?
Yes.
Judge, do you want me to keep going through these or break here? I do have a significant number more.
Yeah, let's
of
go
them.
ahead and take our lunch recess. Almost 12:05. I'll remind the jury to remember the admonition. We'll resume at 1:30 p.m.
All rise for the jurors.
All right,
Thank you.
go ahead. Sorry about that.
Oh, thank you. All right, so just to put us back into perspective, when we broke before lunch, we were discussing Exhibit 227, correct?
Yes.
And this was some of the SMS or text messages between Lori Vallow and Alex Cox that were collected from her Lolly Time iCloud account.
Correct.
Okay. And we had discussed the text messages from July 9th referencing the intervention.
Yes.
And we had discussed the text messages from July 9th discussing Nephi.
Yes.
Those messages also referred to Mel, correct?
Correct.
Now, as we go to the next page of this report, for the 10th of July, do we then see text messages between Lori Vallow and Alex Cox talking about meeting up for lunch with Mel on July 10th?
I do.
And then as those messages go along, does Lori Vallow in fact invite Alex over to her house?
Yes.
And he advises, okay.
Yes.
Are there any text messages between them on the 11th of July?
There are none.
Now, the next messages that we show in this, and again, these are not all of the text messages, correct?
Correct.
Is from the 13th of July, correct?
Correct.
And it says, need you, Adam is freaking out. based upon your understanding of the case and the testimony of Adam Cox, is that when he found out Charles Vallow was dead?
That is correct.
So this one is from Lori Vallow to Alex saying, need you, Adam is freaking out.
Yes.
Again, as we kind of go through what was relevant, and we're not saying these are all of the text messages, on August 12th, do we see a text message from Lori Vallow to Alex Cox saying, at Social Security?
Yes, you do.
Based upon your information and review of the case, were you familiar with August 12th being the date that Lori Vallow went to Social Security to apply for survivor benefits?
Yes.
Told us that when you were looking through these messages, we had originally looked at some of the messages from the Lori for Style account, and you had looked for messages involving Ned, correct? When we heard testimony from Serena Sharp, do you recall her using the word zombie?
I do.
And that she indicated that that was a term that Lori used.
Correct.
And it referred to something to do with the possession.
Yes.
As you were looking through these messages, did you ever see Lori referring to people as Z's
I
or
did.
Z?
Just the single letter Z.
Single letter Z. And so when we look at these messages, Exhibit 227, do we see starting on September 3rd, a message from Lori Vallow to her brother Alex Cox saying, bad news on our brother.
Yes.
And Alex responds, what's that?
Correct.
And she says, Z.
Yes.
And does Alex then say, really, when was that?
Yes.
As that conversation continued on that September 3rd, does Lori tell Alex as of early January?
Yes.
Now, is it your understanding, based upon both testimony from people like Kay Woodcock as well as your own investigation and testimony from Christina Atwood, that sort of in February and March is when Lori Vallow disappeared?
Yes.
So she's now saying her brother has been a Z as early as January. Does then Alex Cox respond back to her? That explains his interest in Charles.
You say her brother, I think, as far as Z or Zach? Zach is
Her
a Z.
brother
Yes.
first.
Yeah.
So initially she's talking about her brother, right?
Correct, yes.
And so in this conversation, as we start through, Lori is telling Adam or Alex that their brother is a Z, correct?
Correct.
As early as January, and it's tied to Charles, right?
Correct.
And in fact, the next text from Lori Vallow to Adam says, Ned recruited him shortly after. This is why, right?
Yes.
She then goes on to say he's part of the 24, correct?
Yes.
And Alex says, that makes sense. Wow.
Correct.
Does Lori then go on to speak of more Z's?
She does.
Does she in fact say, again, still on this September 3rd conversation, more sad news, guess who is the final Z of the 24?
Yes.
And Alex questions if it's Pops or Brandon.
Correct.
And then Alex also says, Zach. Oops, may not be showing yet, sorry. So Lori tells, guess who the final Z of the 24 is, right?
Correct.
And we see from Alex, he guesses Pops or Brandon with a question mark.
Yes.
And then Alex also responds, Zach.
Correct.
And sort of the times here are close in time.
Correct.
We have 10:20:29 and 10:20:43 Lori responds, nope, think of Judas, who loved me completely, then turned against me.
Yes,
And then we see Alex saying, tell me.
correct.
And Lori Vallow says to Alex, yes, our sweet Zach, he is in paradise, the real Zach. It makes final sense.
Can you push that up a little further just to verify? That is correct.
And does Alex then ask Lori, his sister, when this happened?
Yes.
So we're still on this same date. And does Lori then tell Alex about the time he turned, makes sense, he being dedicated to Brandon and Ned?
Yes.
So again, we're still seeing this reference of Ned being Charles.
Correct.
And so now they're tying Adam, Zach, and Brandon with Charles.
Correct.
And so do we see again, so from Alex to Lori, so February.
Yes.
And again, is this around that time period where Lori Vallow disappeared,
Correct.
left JJ with Charles,
Yes.
and we had heard in the interview that the defendant gave with Detective Ann Clan that she told her about her just leaving and disappearing.
Yes.
As that conversation goes on, does Alex then say, how did Zach die, or was he forced out?
He does.
Previously in the Lori for Style, had we seen again a reference of Charles' body being alive, but Ned being gone?
Yeah.
And again, we've heard people testify as to Charles being possessed by that evil spirit,
Yes.
and the unknown of if that spirit went away, what that would mean for Charles.
Correct.
So this conversation then, after Alex asked Lori, how did Zach die, or was he forced out? Does Lori go on to say, it's crazy, I know, but it's sad and true. Now we know all 24, right?
Yes.
And then she also tells Alex, forced out, I think.
Correct.
And did Alex then say, with his anxiety, he wasn't strong enough to fight back?
Yes.
And Lori, and he said, So throughout this time period, from February of 2019 up through September after this, are we still seeing Lori talking about Charles being Ned,
Yes.
this concept of Z or zombies,
Correct.
and others that seem to have helped Charles were equally dark?
Yes.
On the day, or the day leading up to, as well as on the 11th of July, so July 10th and 11th, did you, in looking at the reports for the Lolly Time iCloud account, see messages between Lori Vallow and her sister Summer?
I did.
In those messages, did you see Summer providing updates as to the location of Adam and Zach on the 10th?
On the 10th, yes.
And did you also see Summer providing information about a place for Lori to stay?
I did.
If I can have my paralegal approach with 287. Do you recognize Exhibit 287 as some of those text messages between, from Summer, Lori's sister, to Lori on July 10th, advising about Adam and Zach?
I do.
State will move to admit 287 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
287's admitted.
Now, just so we understand again, how is Zach related to Adam?
Zach is Adam's son.
And so we heard Adam say that when he came down here, Zach was staying with his parents.
Yes.
And Zach ended up actually flying home with him.
Yes.
So on the 10th of July, we see, again, this is instant messages now. Is that another type of data that could be saved in the iCloud account?
Yeah, yes, it can.
So in these instant messages, we can see who it's from as a contact of Sum, right?
Correct.
And Adam had told us that Summer was sometimes called Sum.
Yes.
And then again, contact the 480 with the last numbers 9562. Is that Lori Vallow's?
Yes, it is.
So instant messages between Lori Vallow and Summer.
Yes.
So on July 10th at 2:04, Summer's asking if Lori can talk.
Yes.
And then about 34 minutes later, does she advise that Mom is in the car with Adam and Zach on the way home from Sky Harbor?
Correct.
And so we knew that Adam came in early afternoon on the 10th, right?
Yes.
And then Summer tells her sister, Lori Vallow, she wanted to know if she could confront him as a preemptive strike. I told her no, just to collect info.
Yes.
So we know from the 9th, in that conversation or that text message by Lori Vallow to her brother Alex, that she's aware there's an intervention about to happen.
Correct.
And she is rallying the troops around her.
Correct.
And her mom is asking if she can help by doing a preemptive strike.
Yes.
Then do we see an instant message also on the 10th at 2:43 from Mimi. Adam thinks Melanie left for Utah today because that's the last he knew. I just left it that way.
Yes.
Again, going back to that July 9th message, did Lori tell Alex that Mel had to stay and she couldn't go to Utah?
Yes.
As Summer continues updating Lori Vallow on July 10th at 2:48, does she tell her they're headed to Mimi's house?
Correct.
And then as we continue on at 7:10 at 3:29, does Summer provide an update again that Zach and Adam are headed to a Spider-Man movie and the time that is happening at?
Yes, they do.
Then on 7:10 at 4:56, we see again a message from Summer. I think so, just me and the kids here, right?
Correct.
Or M. Then we see a reference to JJ at 7:10 at 6:25 that he left his wrist brace and ukulele there, right?
Yes.
At 6:26 p.m. on July 10th, does Summer then offer Lori that she could stay at her house?
She does.
She tells her, would you rather stay here this week while we are gone? That way no one would know you were here. We can tell Zach we are putting Zeus in a kennel.
Correct.
So she's willing to lie to Zach so her sister can stay at her house and have no one know where she is.
Apparently.
Then she continues to update Lori that at 8:10 p.m. on the 10th that Zach and Adam are still here playing Phase 10 and eating, right?
Yes.
And as the night goes on, Summer then advises that, again, keeping her updated where Adam and Zach are.
Correct?
Did this message say, again, that Adam was waiting for Al to text him back?
Yes.
So again, we knew Adam was thinking he was staying with Al, right?
Correct.
And then finally, at 8:54, we see Adam and Zach just left to go to Mimi's.
Yes.
And so we heard from Adam that they stayed with his parents.
Correct.
And then on the 11th, did we just see instant messages from Summer reaching out to Lori saying, how's it going today?
Yes.
No responses on those.
No.
Now, we've seen a lot of this mention of Melanie, or Mel, and when Adam testified, he told us that his sister's daughter was Melanie Boudreau at the time, correct?
Correct.
In the lollytime at iCloud.com account, was there a contact name for a Mel B, or Melanie B?
Yes, there was.
And did you learn who Melanie B was in this contact list?
That was Melanie Boudreau.
So we see a mention of a Mel in that July 9th Nephi text to Alex, right?
Correct.
And we see other mentions of Mel throughout these other text messages that we've had,
Yes.
including the need for Melanie or Mel not to go to Utah, correct?
Correct.
Show defense 228.
Go ahead.
If I can have my paralegal approach with 228. Looking at 228, are those some of the text messages from the 9th and 10th between Lori Vallow and Melanie B on the lollytime?
Yes, they are.
And do those, again, involve sort of Melanie staying here in Phoenix instead of going to Utah,
Yes.
as well as updating on where Charles is and where Al is?
Correct.
State will move to admit 228.
Any objection?
No objection.
228 submitted.
So we had talked about earlier that there are a lot of times where we see sort of the call me things sent. When you first look at this 228, the messages between Lori Vallow and Melanie B on July 9th at about 7:21 p.m., do we start with a message from Lori to Melanie, need to talk to you ASAP?
Yes.
Now, when you were talking about the Alex message, let me grab that one. Sorry, right here. When we look at 227, we see messages with Alex Cox that are a little bit later, where we're talking the plot thickens, call me when you can, right?
Correct.
So these messages to Melanie B occur before, but it's the same sort of thing. So the plot thickens, call me when you can. We see a message from Lori to Melanie, need to talk to you ASAP, right?
Correct.
And then I'll call you in 5, finding out what to do. Correct?
Correct.
And then a response of K.
Yes.
As sort of the night goes on, we see some sort of messages of Melanie updating Lori of where she is and what's going on, right?
Correct.
And then we see from Lori telling Melanie at 8 o'clock, you can't go tomorrow. It's a setup for both of us, still on the phone, finding out the details.
Correct.
At that time, she hasn't sent the message yet to Alex, correct?
Correct.
So the Nephi message has not gone out yet.
Yes.
So then we see Lori Vallow sending to Melanie B. They have an elaborate plan. I'll call you soon.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
Then as the time goes on, we see a message again, now from Melanie saying, I could take all the babies and drive and take our stuff.
Correct.
But Lori responds, you can't go at all. We both need to stay here to defend ourselves, right?
Can you move that up, please?
Sure, yes, sorry.
That is correct.
So Lori's telling her you can't go.
Yes.
And this is where then we see a message from Lori Vallow to Melanie B. It's coming to a head. This week will change everything.
Yes.
And that's where Melanie B. says, probably why I felt sick about going, even when told to plan to go.
Correct.
And then again, we see another call me, right?
Correct.
Now, when we look at timing, we know again, when we go to 227, that the plot thickens to Alex is at 9:03, right?
Yes.
And so now we also have the plot thickens also sent here where they're talking.
That's to Alex.
Sorry, that's Alex, yes.
Right.
So as the night goes on, 9:28, this is sort of in between those messages to Alex as well as before the Nephi one.
Right.
And do we see here that Melanie says, I can lay at my house if I need somewhere to go. And then she goes on to say, I think I'll tell him I don't want to get the kids sick, so I'll go lay down at Mimi's, then gym, temple, and lunch.
Yes.
So she's going to pretend to be sick, but she's going to go to the gym, temple, and lunch.
Correct.
Then she continues to sort of advise what's going on the 10th and tell Lori, is it better for me to stay here or leave, do you think? So she's getting her direction from Lori.
Correct.
And then from Melanie, she advises Lori, Adam and Charles don't come until tomorrow, right? Or she asks her. And then she says, Brandon said it's okay, we can get in a flight tomorrow or whenever you're better.
Yes.
So on the 10th, Melanie asked if Charles and Adam are coming in, right?
Yes.
And Lori tells them they both come tonight, correct?
Yes.
So she already knows that Adam is coming and that Charles is coming.
Yes.
Does it go on? Okay. This is from Melanie. So today doesn't really matter, but I'm here. I have the kids tomorrow, and that could make it easier for them. So I should probably be sick again tomorrow, question mark?
Correct. Correct.
And again, does Lori say, I think so, but I think they're moving their plans to tomorrow since they will still try to get rid of you.
Yes.
Then there's a discussion from Melanie about wanting to go to this wedding.
Correct.
And Lori saying, I know, baby, I'm so sorry. This is important to your mission, even though I know it's hard to just sit there.
Correct.
So she's given her a mission to pretend to be sick.
She has a mission, yes.
Then we see from Melanie, I just got to the gym, but do you want to do lunch after? What's your day look like? Are you going to Glendale?
Correct.
So we can see a plan going here where she's pretending to be sick for Lori, but they're meeting up.
Yes.
Lori says, yes, let's do lunch. I'm not going today.
Correct.
Then they discuss sort of meeting up. And as we go on in the 10th, is Melanie advising her that Brandon's been here the whole time. He's been on the phone and texting the whole time. I told him I'm trying to get on a flight tomorrow, but he thought the wedding was tomorrow, so he was surprised it's Friday.
Correct.
And Lori tells her maybe she can go tomorrow night. So on the 11th, Lori Vallow already knows by the night of on the 10th, Lori Vallow is already knowing, but by the night of the 11th, Mel need not stick around.
Correct.
So she needs to be there in the morning, but maybe you can go tomorrow night on the 11th.
Correct.
And then we see, again, Melanie, maybe I'll tell him I'm not going at all, and then I just end up going Thursday night, but his plans are canceled. And again, so July 11th is Thursday, right?
Yes.
Lori then tells Melanie, I don't want you to regret not going, right?
Correct.
Melanie checks in on Lori. This is still the 10th. How are things on your end? And also, I don't want to regret not going. Meanwhile, I'm over here dreading packing and playing sick, right?
Correct.
So she confirms that she's doing this for Lori to distract Brandon.
She's not really sick, yes.
Then we see Melanie saying, packing for the move, that is, and then asked to be, will you clear me?
Correct.
So still on the 10th, as we get to 6:47, we have Lori telling Melanie, sure, I'll work on you now. Do you want to come over for a blessing?
Correct.
And this is where we then see Melanie ask, sure, I can, but is Charles coming? Is Al there? Right? And so Lori lets her know that Al is here at 7:18 p.m. on July 10th, right?
Correct.
And Charles says he will come over in the morning.
Yes.
So at 7:18, everyone sort of knows Al is over at Lori's, Charles isn't there, he'll be over the next morning.
Correct.
And then we see Melanie say, I'll head over, right?
Correct.
This next message is from the 11th, correct?
Yes.
And we see her tell Lori again, Zach is here, right?
Correct.
And again, now it's closer to 8. He just acted like he was coming over to get his mail. He told Brandon, oh, hey, Adam's in town. And Brandon acted like he didn't know. I asked if he was moving in with Adam Cannon, and he said he doesn't know yet. And then do they confirm after that, I can fly out at 9 p.m. tonight and be back Saturday afternoon?
Correct. And those two prior messages, you can see the time frame of 7:48. Obviously, the event has taken place, and they're not read until 1:38 in the afternoon.
Okay. So yes, so this is at the 7:53 a.m. when this is sent. That is after Lori Vallow has left the house with Charles's phone in his car.
Correct.
And it's read at 1:28 after Lori Vallow has been interviewed and released back in Charles Vallow's SUV.
Yes.
And they go over to Alex's house.
Correct.
So when you're trying to put this case together, you're having to pull all these different text messages to see when Lori knew what she knew and who she was directing to do things, correct?
Correct.
As you were looking through these messages, were you also having to figure out who some of these people were?
Yes, I was.
We had talked about that phone number, the 515 number that was listed as a contact of Bubby. Do you
Yes.
recall that?
Yes.
And that you, through looking at the iCloud account, the text messages, the call that was made by Chad Daybell using this phone and recorded, that Bubby contact name is Chad Daybell.
Correct.
When you were reviewing those iCloud accounts, does every text message always save in them?
They do not, no.
So did you also have to look at phone records to see if those matched up or if there were missing records?
I did.
And we talked about, obviously, phone calls are not saved in the iCloud account, right?
Correct.
So when you were looking at those Chad Daybell phone records, did you look to see on the morning of July 11th of 2019 if there were any text messages or phone calls made between Chad Daybell's Bubby phone and Lori Vallow?
I did.
Do those records show a text message from Chad Daybell's phone to Lori Vallow's phone on July 11th of 2019 at 6:06 a.m.?
Yes.
And those are all in the records that we've previously admitted.
Correct.
Was there another text message from Lori Vallow's cell phone to Chad Daybell's phone on July 11th at 6:12 a.m.?
Yes.
Was there a text message from Chad Daybell's phone to Lori Vallow's phone at 7:01 a.m.?
Correct.
And another text message from Chad Daybell's phone to Lori Vallow's phone at 7:33 a.m.
Yes.
So those phone records don't show us the content of those.
No, it just shows that the message they were communicating, but her iCloud will not show the actual content of those.
Okay. Looking still at that Exhibit 223, as well as Exhibit 223, which is the 515 number associated with Chad Daybell, and looking at the T-Mobile records for Lori Vallow, Exhibit 220, did you look at those two records to see if there was any calls or text messages between Chad Daybell's phone and Lori Vallow's phone after Charles was shot on
Yes.
July 11th?
Yes.
Was there a phone call between those two phones, Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow, on July 11th at 12:39 p.m.?
Yes, there was.
That lasted about 1 minute and 45 seconds.
Correct.
So that would have been after Lori Vallow was interviewed by the police and brought back to the residence.
Correct.
Was there no other phone call on July 11th of 2019 from Chad Daybell's phone to Lori Vallow's phone at 2:28 p.m. that lasted a little over 11 minutes?
Yes.
Is that around the time that Detective Enclan was calling Lori to have her come back to 5531 South Four Peaks?
Yes, it was.
Did you see another call between Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell at 5:42 p.m. that lasted for over 30 minutes?
I did.
And did you see another call between Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow on July 11th of 2019 at 7 p.m. that lasted approximately 11 minutes?
Yes.
And did you see a final call on July 11th between Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow at 7:54 p.m. that lasted a little over 13 minutes?
I did.
When you were looking at the text messages between Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, or contact name Bubby, that you located in those Lolly Time at iCloud account, did you notice a romantic relationship between them?
Yes, I did.
Prior to Charles being shot and killed on July 11th of 2019, did you see any open and obvious romantic messages from Chad under any of his contact names that you knew of to Lori Vallow.
I did not.
After Charles's death on July 11th of 2019, did you see any open and obvious romantic messages from Chad Daybell under any of his contact names to Lori Vallow?
I did.
Now, were there many messages and between Lori Vallow and contact name Bubby or Chad Daybell?
Yes, there were.
And again, those are all part of that recovered as part of the search warrant on the Lolly Time at iCloud account.
Yes.
In these text messages, did Chad write a, I'll call it, romantic story about Lori and himself that he texted and emailed to her?
He did.
Did he have other names for them?
I believe the names were James and Elena.
Did that story seem to sort of at least match the timing of when they met?
It did.
Were some of them more promiscuous?
Yes.
Did they also include conversations, though, about people like Adam and Brandon,
They did.
and about Ned?
Yes.
My paralegal can approach with 229. And the state will move to admit Exhibit 229.
Any objection?
Just relevance to the conspiracy, Your Honor.
All right, the proper foundation's been made. I will admit 229?
229.
229 is admitted.
So we've talked about Adam and Brandon, correct?
Yes.
And so one of the first message in this Exhibit 229 is from July 13th, so 2 days after Charles was shot and killed.
Yes.
And do we see, at this point, Chad is asking Lori, how did Adam and Brandon find out?
Correct.
And again, on the 13th at 9:51, we see Lori telling Chad, my mom, because she was so mad, she went off on Adam.
Correct.
And again, when we go back to Adam's testimony, did he indicate he learned Charles had died on the 13th
Correct.
and that he got in a fight with his mom?
Yes.
At that point, do we see then a message from Chad asking, did he have much to say in his defense?
Correct.
And Lori responds, he was very defensive and tried to justify everything, but my mom kicked him out and said she would never talk to him again. She's dramatic.
Yes.
So we had learned that Adam had been speaking with Charles and that he hadn't told his family about this intervention, right?
Correct.
And that after this, he said he lost basically all contact with his family.
Yes.
And this seems to sort of confer with that.
Correct.
Do we then see a switch over from talking about Lori's family to now Chad talking to Lori about being deeply, crazily, madly in love with Lily?
Yes.
And do we see, again, messages to and from Lori and Chad talking about sort of their love for each other?
Correct.
So prior to this, you really had not seen this open, obvious discussions about their relationship.
I had not.
As the time continued, did you continue to see, again, messages of love, as well as a lot of calls?
I did.
Although we won't read through everything here, is this sort of part of that story you're talking about of James and Elena starting in November?
Correct.
And is November when the Preparing the People conference was here in Arizona of 2018?
Correct.
And we've heard testimony from witnesses that Chad Daybell was there.
Yes.
And you found actually a recording on the Lori for Style of Chad Daybell at the Preparing the People conference in November of 2018.
I did.
As we get to July 14th, do we see Chad then talking about cleansing the Houston house?
Clearing the Houston.
Clearing?
Yeah.
Clearing the Houston house, sorry. To remove the darkness he caused.
Correct.
So who was living in Houston?
Charles.
And had you seen and heard people testify that Charles was considered dark by Lori Vallow?
Yes.
And again, we continue to see the affirmations of love,
Yes.
the cheek to cheek and loin to loin.
Yes.
Again, more conversations both of love in text messages as well as phone calls.
Correct.
As we continue on the 14th, did Chad, let me ask you this, where was Chad Daybell living in July of 2019?
In Idaho.
So Chad is living in Idaho, and you told us that you had seen flights of Lori to Idaho and Lori and Chad to Arizona in March of 2019?
Yes.
He's asking Lori, did everything go smoothly in ending the hotel stay and getting the car returned?
Correct.
And so we see Lori responding to him, I guess I turned in the car, but I don't know what the police did at the hotel, probably just left it.
Correct.
And so we know that the police got the key card from her and went and cleared out the hotel room.
Yes.
Do we see, again, a continuation of that story that Chad was writing to Lori Vallow?
You do.
And that continues through most of this till apparently Chad needed a shower.
Correct.
Now, as we again continue through this, are you seeing sort of every day multiple texts of love between these two?
I am, yes.
And again, going through the 17th, 16th, 17th, again, more affirmations of love, correct?
Yes.
Now, we know on the 15th of July is when Lori Vallow had called Banner Life Insurance to indicate that she was the beneficiary, right?
Correct.
And on the 18th is when she learned that she was not.
Correct.
So in Exhibit 229, do we see on July 18th at 12:18 Arizona time? So I talked to the insurance company. He changed it in March. So it was probably Ned before we got rid of him. They can't tell me to whom, of course, but it's done. I'll still get the $4,000 a month from Social Security.
Yes.
So on July 18th, after she talks with Banner Life Insurance, Lori tells Chad she's not getting the life insurance.
Correct.
But she tells him she's getting $4,000 a month from Social Security.
Correct.
Now, we know from Lori Vallow's text to Alex that she went to Social Security on August 12th, correct?
Yes.
And we also had testimony from Social Security about that.
Correct.
But here it is on July 18th of 2018, and she already knows she's going to get money from Social Security.
Correct.
Again, do you see a lot of additional continuing everyday multiple affirmations of their relationship?
I do.
And this email or this report just went through the July 18th where we have that message about the Social Security.
Yes.
Did those affirmations continue on after that?
Yes, they did.
So now that Charles is dead, there's a very open texting and calling relationship between Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell.
Yes.
Now, we had indicated that there were multiple contact names that were associated in the Lolly Time iCloud account to Chad Daybell.
Yes.
While you were looking at these text messages in the Lolly Time iCloud account, did you locate any for a contact name Melanie 2 with the number 2?
I did.
And in reviewing those messages, did you identify them as coming from Chad Daybell as well?
Yes, the number linked to that contact of Melanie 2 was for Chad Daybell.
Did you even see a message from Melanie 2 with an attached photo showing Chad Daybell?
Correct.
And were all those, not all of them, were there a substantial number of those messages between Melanie 2 and Lori Vallow, the same sort of romantic discussions that you saw between contact name Bubby
Yes.
and Lori?
Yes.
When you were looking at the conversation between Chad Daybell as the Bubby contact, we saw a discussion about life insurance, correct?
Correct.
Did you also see a conversation between Lori and Melanie 2, AKA Chad, about life insurance?
I did.
If I can have my paralegal approach with 288 and 230. Looking at 288 and 230, are those both one of the messages that is from Melanie 2, contact name, to Lori Vallow, that was had an attached photo of Chad Daybell and another individual.
Yes,
Was that some of the information used to verify that this Melanie 2 was in fact Chad Daybell?
it was.
And then in 230, is that some of the SMS messages showing both that same romantic relationship as well as that conversation about the life insurance?
Correct.
State will move to admit 288 and 230.
Any objection?
Just the relevance, Your Honor.
288 and 230 are admitted.
So starting with 288, was this, again, a message, an MMS, so meaning there's an attached photo with it, right?
Correct.
That occurred on July 17th of 2019 from Melanie 2 contact name. And it said, I took a photo with Alan Osmond for Mark.
Correct.
And when we looked at the photo, did you ever learn what Chad Daybell looked like?
I do know what he looks like, yes.
Is that Chad Daybell?
Yes, it is.
So this is the person that she has been texting all the romantic love affirmations with right after Charles died.
Yes.
230, again, we see the same sort of romantic contact between them.
Correct.
And so this is, again, July 18th now, going on with another contact name for Chad Daybell in Lori's phone.
Yes.
And again, we see it's the Lolly Time iCloud account, right?
Correct.
When we get to July 18th, this one, though, is an earlier. For the Bubby one, we saw that it was a noon time message, right?
Right.
And so we learned that Lori received a email indicating she was not the beneficiary, and later she had a phone conversation.
Correct.
Does this one appear to be sort of the earlier one because it references, I just got the letter from the insurance company saying that I'm not the beneficiary. It's a spear through my heart. Who do you think he changed it to? Brandon or probably Kay? He left nothing for JJ.
Correct.
Did that conversation go on? Wow, that's terrible. There's no way to find out.
It did.
And did Lori then tell Chad, I might be able to see when I get his computer on Sunday, I could check the emails sent to the insurance company. It will show change of beneficiary. He must have done it recently.
Correct.
So we had seen, in fact, photos what appeared to be from a computer that were sent to Chad Daybell, correct?
Correct.
Showing that beneficiary change.
Yes.
So does that seem to match with, again, what Lori's telling Chad here about finding out who got that money?
It does.
Does Chad then say, it seems you would have to agree to change, maybe the name was forged, you should have a good paper trail to prove it, right?
Correct.
So he's trying to help her figure out how to get that money. So you then go on to say, I love you, this is terrible. It's probably another step in bringing down, what is this?
Gaddy Anton.
Did you ever learn what that was?
I'm sure I researched it, but off the top of my head, I don't know what it is.
Okay. Did Lori then tell him, nope, he can change it anytime he wants. He's the agent and anyone can change the beneficiary anytime with their own signature. I'm thinking it must be Kay.
Correct.
So she understood, at least to Chad, that Charles had that right.
Yes.
Does Chad then say, It will be interesting if he if it got changed after he had 2 bullets in his chest.
Correct.
And she goes on to respond, I don't think it could have. You can't change it after the death date. They would review that.
Correct.
And then she goes on to say again, I'm thinking Kay as well. Or he says, I'm thinking Kay as well. She probably freaking out that you got those computers. I'm going to shower and give you a blessing. I'm eager to get home so we can talk. It will be okay, my love. You are wonderful.
Correct.
And then she says, miss you so much. And he responds, miss you the most.
Yes.
So during this conversation, we see Chad and Lori discussing who this likely would have gone to and when it could have been changed, right?
Yes.
And that all occurred before the second conversation we see, also on the 18th, but closer to, I think, 12:30, 12:34, where she knows now it was changed in March.
Correct.
And in that, we see Chad referring to the 2 shots to the chest, right?
Yes.
So again, we know they've been talking about this. Did you see any other text messages talking about that?
I did not.
But we saw lots of phone calls between the 2 on the 11th.
Sure.
Now, as we have been talking through this conversation and much of this trial, we have referred to the defendant as Lori Vallow.
Correct.
And that's because she was married to Charles Vallow when he was shot on July 11th of 2019, right?
Yes.
During your review of those Lolly Time at iCloud accounts, did you find evidence of when she became Lori Daybell?
I did.
Did you see a contract for the wedding?
I did.
See wedding photos?
I did.
Where was that wedding?
Hawaii?
I can have my paralegal approach with 233. Looking at Exhibit 233 is that the report as well as the actual document that was in the lollytime at iCloud.com account that you reviewed, that the police obtained through a search warrant relating to when Lori Vallow became Lori Daybell.
Correct.
State will move to admit 233.
Any objection?
Relevance.
233 is admitted.
So the first part of this, we see that, again, it notes that this is an image that was from the account, from the Lollytom iCloud account from 10/31, correct? And then this is the actual photograph that was uploaded into the iCloud account, correct?
Correct.
So we see Chad Daybell and Lori Ryan. Was Lori Ryan a prior name of Lori Vallow?
Yes.
That was Tylee Ryan's dad?
Correct.
So she used the Lori Ryan name in this. They use a home address of Rexburg, Idaho at that point.
Correct.
And then the date of the actual wedding is that November 5th of 2019.
Yes, it is.
So 4 months after Charles Vallow is shot and killed inside of the defendant's home, she has remarried to the man, Chad Daybell.
Yes.
I have no other questions for this witness.